I think most people who would watch this video are well aware of the complications around the legal rights to Tetris. How there were a lot of people who thought they purchased the rights to publish their own version of Tetris, but it turned out that certain people who didn't own Tetris were going around selling the rights. What you might not be aware of, however, is that after that mess got straightened out, it left a lot of people with small slices of where they could produce their own version. And those people all had rights to make a sequel. As a result of that, there's at least 4 different games that lay a claim on being Tetris 2. The one that was actually made by Tetris creator Alexei Pajnatov is Weltris, but that didn't get a console port. Instead, the Famicom, and the Super Famicom actually, had Tetris 2 plus Bombliss, and that has its own weird story. The original Famicom version of Tetris by Bulletproof Software was extremely successful. It was also just about the worst port of Tetris you could imagine. For example, you pressed down to rotate the piece, while both the A and B buttons caused it to drop. Still, Nintendo had Bulletproof Software rework Tetris for them, and created the version for the Game Boy, plus the much improved NES version. Tetris 2 plus Bombliss expands on that. It's a result of virtually every major figure in the Japanese video game industry in the early 90s going, "Hey Bulletproof Software, Tetris is good, but your version sucks. Let me make one for you." The list of people who at least just assisted in the development of this cartridge is amazing. It was produced by Tsunekazu Ishihara, who had another well-based puzzle game released the following day, and would go on to produce a series about pocket monsters. It was directed by Koichi Nakamura, one of the key team members for the Dragon Quest series, and that actually makes Tetris 2 plus Bombliss the final game that Chunsoft developed for the Famicom. Nakamura brought with him Koichi Sugiyama, composer for the Dragon Quest series, and chiming in with advice and assistance were Xevious' Masanobu Endo and Shigeru Miyamoto. So there was a lot of talent on this one. Something to be aware of right off the bat is that Tetris 2 plus Bombliss is exactly what it says on the can. There are 2 different games on the cartridge, Tetris 2 and Bombliss. But before you do anything, you first have to register your name. There are 8 battery save slots here, and they'll store your high scores, your progress through puzzle modes, and any puzzles that you've created. Once you've got a save slot going, you've got your choice of 6 game modes, 3 for Tetris 2 and 3 for Bombliss. Starting off with Tetris 2, this is what Tetris should have been. It feels extremely close to the NES version of Tetris. You could start out at any speed up to level 29. You have a few seconds as the piece comes down where you can rotate it before it locks into place. And the controls are now standard Tetris controls. A and B rotates, and you press down to drop. The standard Tetris rules apply. A tetromino drops from the top, and your goal is to fill in lines at the bottom of the well. You get points based on how many lines you erase at once, with the most for doing 4 lines at a time, which is the eponymous Tetris. And you play until your pieces reach the top of the well. You're given 3 different game modes here. Type A is classic Tetris. An empty well, pieces fall, and you play for as long as you can. Type B fills the well in with pieces before you even start playing. You beat a stage in Type B by clearing 25 lines. Finally, Type C has junk lines coming up from the bottom of the screen at regular intervals. That's another one where you just keep playing for as long as you can. So the Tetris 2 part of Tetris 2 plus Bombliss is just a very good version of Tetris. But Bombliss is a whole new game. Rather than be one continuous stream of pieces until you get a game over, Bombliss is played in stages where your goal is to completely clear out all of the bricks from the well. It's similar to Tetris where you're trying to make lines, but making lines doesn't mean they go away. What you really need to do are trigger the bombs. Pieces come down from the top of the screen in clumps of between 2 and 5 squares. On early stages, those pieces will be smaller, probably tetronimos like in Tetris. But as the game progresses, you'll start seeing pentominoes, and the shapes become more and more complex. Every piece that drops down from the top will have at least one bomb in it. That's the red square. When you complete a line, any bomb that's in that line is triggered. And the size of the explosion depends on how many complete lines you have. Completing just one line means that the bomb will explode in little lines out to each side. But complete 2 or more lines at once, and the explosions will extend vertically, potentially setting off more bombs in a chain reaction. If you bring 4 bombs together in a square, they form a big bomb, which always explodes with the intensity of about a 5-line clearing explosion. Once the explosions are done, any pieces that aren't connected to something fall straight down. And that can make more lines, setting off more explosions. Once all the pieces in the well are gone, you'll get points based on how long it took you to do that. The 3 modes in Bombliss are Contest, where you progress through 60 stages, and every stage starts pre-populated with a few bricks and bombs. The first 30 always give you some bombs to start with, while the last 30 have no bombs except what you drop from the top of the screen. Puzzle mode features 90 stages, and the bricks that drop are preset, so you have to figure out where to place them in order to clear everything out. You have to play through all of the preset pieces, so that will help guide you toward the goal. Finally, there's Construct mode, where you have the ability to create 10 puzzles of your own. There's one more feature on the main menu. If you press left or right while you're on the Tetris 2 or Bombliss options respectively, you can see the current high scores for the modes. There's one more special feature on this cartridge. There's a 2-player battle mode for Tetris. It's very similar to the one that Tengen created for their version of Tetris. So if you ever felt that the only thing that Nintendo's Tetris was missing to make it perfect was that mode, well, here you go. Although Tetris 2 plus Bombliss didn't sell as well as the original Tetris, it's still fondly remembered, and a lot of the people who talk about it mention how much of an improvement this version of Tetris is. Though I think most of them prefer to play the Super Famicom version. Both Tetris and Bombliss will go on, of course, but they wind up getting separated. The portable versions of Bombliss eventually come to the United States as Tetris Blast. My feeling is this is a great cartridge if you love puzzle games. To me, this is the definitive 8-bit version of Tetris, and Bombliss is a pretty good puzzle game itself. Either one of these would have been great on their own, and together they make up one of the best packages for puzzle games you can get on the Famicom.